trying to make it second time. And we finally got, we believe, the right point in space and time to finally discuss the subject matter we planned to discuss a while ago. So today we have a very special person, a philosopher of our time, who combines very interesting perspective. Asian perspective, European perspective, mixture of wisdom, the best of the world, best of the worlds, let's put it this way. And he is the author of many books. And from my perspective, has very unique and interesting perspectives on a lot of things. And I believe it's definitely worth to talk and worth to hear this perspective. Shiv Mathur, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Evgenia, for inviting me and giving me this chance to share my experiences with your audience. And let me know if I'm audible or not, in case I am a little low, because sometimes I tend to speak a little low.
Speak it up. Speak it up. I think it's...
To speak loudly. Yeah, speak. Yeah. So let me know what you want to ask.
I mean, you can increase the value. Can you increase the volume, because it's a little bit, I believe it's too quiet. That's very hard to hear.
Okay, but I think I'm speaking very low. I have to speak a little loudly, looks like. Is this okay?
Yes, now it's a bit better. So let's start with the
okay.
Let's start with the your path to the discovery of new world of the philosophy. I know you have a very interesting background in terms of your professional work, and why you believe what you're doing currently is really important, and what you believe brought you, what life experience, what life event brought you to this point of life that you're currently in.
I think what brought me to this particular thing and was, I think that's your last question. Probably I might forget the full question.
That's okay.
Let me start with this. What brought me to this path? And yeah, because I feel a lot of people come on this path of, I would say, questioning about life, purpose of life. When they go through some challenges in life, when there is a bursting of myths, bursting of social norms which have been imposed on by the society on people, common people, and then they start questioning. So somewhere the questioning starts, whether what I'm doing is right, where am I heading towards? Is this right? Am I following? Have I been given the right knowledge and the right direction by the society, by the people around me? So this kind of questioning which comes, because when we go through the challenges, there has been a gradual, I would say now, a radical change in the social structure, the definition of success. Everything has been changing, and there's a lot of influence of capitalism. There is a lot of brainwashing. There's a political manipulation. There is a industrial capitalist manipulation, and all kind of manipulation. And there are a lot of moral people are teaching moral things, talking about ethics and moral, but then we see that they themselves don't follow that, whether it is politician or whether it is the rich people. It all looks very glamorous, but behind the curtain, when you look into their lives, when they get exposed, then you see. So it's all, it looks like it's you living in an illusion, and it's a very fake world. And so then you start questioning what is the reality, what exactly is needed in life. What you
Mhm.
are doing, is this right? Is this the path? Where are you heading? What are you going to achieve? So as life passes on, you start questioning it sometime that am I really being successful? Do I really know where I'm heading? Do I really know what I'm doing is right? So some point of time, the questioning comes. Some situations in life also teach you. We have attachments, we have relationships, and even we don't understand what is a relationship truly. We start questioning that because things happen in life, and whom you think is the closest to you can turn around, and your whole idea of relationship can change. Uh, so a lot of definitions which are there, social definitions, they sometimes look, they start looking that they are not really true, and I think somewhere that we have been fooled, and then you start searching for the real answer. And what is the basis of our existence? What is the purpose of life, and how are we supposed to exist? What is the reference? So when this basic question comes to you, and when you start searching and questioning, so then you call it philosophy. You can, people call it philosophy, but I think this is thinking, because are we thinkers? Are we blind followers? Are we in a rat race? Or we don't want to go against the tide? Or can we go against the system? Can we make our own system? So all this, when you get into a thinking mode, questioning mode, rather than being a follower, blind follower, believing things, that's where I think the philosophy starts. Questioning everything, like don't just accept everything. You use your discriminatory abilities, enhance your discriminatory abilities to really take a decision whether this is right or wrong. Somebody is telling, is it right? What is the rationale behind it? So the rationality and the logic, uh, and the kind of and philosophy and logic and rationality is basically, this is what the basis of science. So even somebody is trying to understand the spiritual path, or the different aspects of spirituality which are available in the commercial market, I would say. It's
Mhm.
like a commercial market. You start questioning that. You start looking for the rationality. You start seeing the fakeness behind all those. And then you look for the reality. Then you seek truth. Then you're seeking truth. So when you're a seeker of a truth, then you dissociate yourself from the society, from the social narratives, from this rat race, and you become a seeker of truth. And
So
that's where the life.
let's stop here. So you mentioned that when we're living in society, and we always got like really dissociated from the truth ourselves, because we live in a lot of misconception, a lot of manipulation, a lot of propaganda, and it's very hard
Yes.
to find the true value, truth of life, to understand who we are, what needs to be done. So that's very, I mean, we know about it. The question is, from your perspective, what is the best path to find and to look and to be somehow connected to the truth?
Yeah, the path is the best path is start questioning. Start questioning what's around you. Start observing. Be an observer. And observer from the point of view of learning from that. Because the life around us teaches us. There is a
Mhm.
lot of all different. There's a lot of diversity in existence. Different kind of
Mhm.
people are existing in different way, and we have to see how the humanity as such is surviving. Who's surviving in what way? So, and people are surviving. Everybody's surviving. Even Bill Gates is surviving, and some poor person is also surviving. Some mediocre person is also surviving. So, what is the basic necessity of life? What are my needs? Uh, so this questioning is something very important. Questioning everything is very important. All the narratives are very important. What you want in life? I think the first question is what you want in life. What is needed in life? Or happiness. So you come to a answer that you actually want to be content. You want to be happy. Now, what is that source of happiness? So then next question comes, what is the source of happiness? And then the life teaches you. It's just not money. Are you chasing some wild dreams? Are they really needed? You start questioning everything, even what you are having desires. Are those desires really realistic? Are they really needed? Or am I doing it for myself, or am I living for somebody else? Am I trying to create a identity in this society, and am I working for that, or so that is I am I connected to my own real identity, or I'm trying to create another identity, social identity? So am I living an artificial life?
Here's a big question rises. In terms of understanding of the thing is the understanding of the happiness, understanding what makes us happy, what's good for you, is very different. If you will take a look at the different religions, different perspective, they have a different tone into it. And the problem is, it varies even through the generations. And the problem is sometimes people think they're pursuing happiness, but in fact, it's not. That's the problem. Because people, we're all seeking for happiness, for, to live a better life, the better life for ourselves, for our relatives. And here's the main misconception. A lot of people, a lot of us, we live in a such level illusion that even understanding of the happiness
Yeah.
is very
Difficult.
different from all of us. Yes. So what's from your perspective? I know that you very smart person with amazing background. What's your perspective on the happiness?
So the truth is absolute. Truth will not never change. And so the real source of the eternal source of happiness will be constant. The society is changing over generations. Perspectives have been changing, evolving. People have been thinking about what is the source of happiness. But they don't realize the source of happiness is all common for all. It will not be different for different people. The creator will not create different things for different people. He has the eternal source is absolute. But are we chasing the eternal source, or are we chasing something external? This is what has to be understood. Because where is the happiness going to come from? The source, we need happiness not momentarily. We need happiness which is constant. The constant happiness will come from a constant source. But are we chasing a constant source? Is car a constant source? Is money a constant source? Everything is fluctuating in this world. Everything is temporary in this world. You think you're getting happiness from a person, the person is going to go away. That means the happiness will go away. So is that person a permanent source? So what is my relationship with the external world, and what is my relationship with the internal world, the actual world? Where is that actual world? What is my source? From where have I come? And then, should I be living in future? Should I be living in the past? There are many
That's a
questions
good
like that.
question.
Am I living in the present? Am I living in the present?
What's your
Should I?
perspective? Because I can talk only from the like, because like Orthodox world, right? We all like all Christian usually inclined to think that you have to dissociate yourself from any wealth. You don't have to be attached to anything physical, and it's mostly about being focused on connection to the source of life, and be it's not about what you get, but it's all about what you give to the world, and be
Yes.
try to transcend as more love, whatever, positive,
Yeah.
loving, accepting. The acceptance of the reality is the main thing that it's hardest thing, the settlement, the acceptance, and be now, experience moment in this particular second and now is what considered to be, it's from the Christian perspective, from the Orthodox perspective, what I am, because I've been Orthodox from childbirth, basically, because I was born and raised in Russia. So it's very interesting to hear what's your perspective on these things.
So you have beautifully put it across. See, all religions actually, in a way, are going to teach us the same thing. Only thing, we read something and we understand that. We don't read some other religion, we don't understand that. But if you actually read a religion, any kind of religion, it is going to teach you the same thing. There may be some difference in the way they teach. So we call it, this religion is explaining it. I like this religion. Maybe I relate to that way of explanation more. But if you really understand, all teachings are converging into the same thing. Detachment is one of the aspects. When you talk about detachment and living in the present, giving, so we have these concepts. So all these concepts are actually rolling into a human quality. When we have been created by the creator, or you can call it God, or you call it creator, it depends upon each person, how do they perceive God as. So I say, there is a supreme being who has created the universe, and somebody has created it, and whether you call him God, you call him, in Hindi you call him Paramatma, or you call him Brahma, or whatever you call him. So he has created whatever has been created. Now there is a little bit of science here. Whatever has been created has to have some design, have to have a common basis of existence. What is my common basis of existence? Now these are simple questions. Should I be attached? So like, if Orthodox Christianity says, or even Hindu says, attachment. In the Hindu there is a word called virag, which is called total detachment. We come into this world, we get attached to the external things. Don't get attached. You need things to survive. You need certain things to survive. But what is the difference between need and unnecessary things? What is my basic need? I need to eat. I need to probably have some kind of shelter. Now somebody can make a mansion, somebody can live in a studio apartment. It doesn't make any difference. Elon Musk lives in a small house. Many rich people live in their old house. I think Warren Buffett or one of those, they live in their old house. They, I have, I have earned well and I had everything, but I enjoy. My happiness comes from small things. My happiness comes free. You go to the nature, it's free. I was questioning someone in Estonia. That guy had a problem, and I told him, "You want to take your girlfriend to a bar, or near the in the forest? Where will you be more happy with her?" So his answer was forest. So I told him, happiness is free. God has given you everything to be happy, but what are we chasing? So attachments. So these are actually human qualities. This is what is actually human design. There are many uh, characteristics or specification of humans that you should be attached. Now, this is what has to be introspected. Should I be attached? Should I be detached? Should I be living in present, or am I living in the future? What happens if I live in the future? Should I be selfless, or should I be selfish? Is it giving a joyful thing or taking a joyful thing? Selfish. If you're selfish, are you greedy? Is being greedy good? So there are around 40, 45 qualities I've listed in my book, which defines a human. And how are you aligned to that quality? So first thing is, we say I should be good. Now, what is the definition of good human being? That people don't understand. So what are my different qualities of a human being? So this is something like, I should be attached or detached. What attachment does to me? Does it give happiness or it makes me unhappy? So answers are there. Are we questioning? Are we doing right questioning? Are we investigating ourselves? Or are we investigating others? Or are we investigating the world? So life teaches us, all events in the life teaches us, should I have ego? What will ego do to me? Do I know what the ego do to me? Is somebody questioning that? Is somebody realizing, trying to make an effort to find out how much ego is there? Do people understand that giving makes you happy? And how many people are actually willing to give? People want to accumulate, and it's a baggage. Do they understand this accumulation is a baggage? Do people understand whether should you judge a person by the external appearance, or should you judge a person by the vibrations that person have?
So
Body language.
that's a huge question. You know, I really see, the thing is, you mentioned like people, names of people who somehow, like, people where we know about them, they consider to be celebrities, etc. And the thing is, that's the major pinfall, because most of those people, they're mostly made up media personas. And I think we all have to be so, and the thing is, it's very important because we have all sorts of people watching us, and we all have to take into consideration that you, first of all, you, if you would like to follow someone and you would like to really consider a particular persona as a model, you have to know this person personally. You have to know the true story, because unfortunately, if we're talking about celebrities, this is the level and the world of perception, because that's a made up by media profiles that very often absolutely detached from the reality. And that, I believe that's very important to know. And I believe that it's extremely important to find a role model in your nearest environment, like maybe your father, your grandfather, or someone in your nearest. And why? Because I believe that will bring you more, it will help you to be more grounded. Because as you said, there are so many illusions created by media. There are so much propaganda. And the thing is, we have to really avoid and get away from this trap of propaganda and media. And the thing is, if we get in touch, if we will follow celebrities who well-known names, that's the highest level. If you're going to be disappointed, you're going to be detached from the reality. That's the major pinfall. So we really have to be, I believe, stay away from.
So my point by naming somebody was not to consider them as a role model. I was only trying to highlight one point, that it is not that happiness comes from money, whether it is a media propaganda. But my point was to highlight that the happiness doesn't come from wealth, acquiring and accumulating wealth, that somebody has billions of dollars. That doesn't give them happiness. So they are living in a small place. Now, I need not name anyone, but I'm just giving a kind of a situation where even a rich person is also living in a small place. It may be true or not true, whether it's a media propaganda, I don't know, but I'm just trying to highlight that. I'm giving my own example. And I would say that we don't need actually role models. I looked for role models in the Himalayas. I looked for yogis in the Himalayas. How did they get the knowledge? They left everything and went to the Himalayas. They lived in remote places. How did they get all the knowledge? Are they the most happy person, or the richest people in the world are happy person? Is a politician the most happy person? He's the most manipulative person. These people are most manipulative. These people are manipulating the whole world. They are manipulating the whole society. They are working on control. Control, not controlling is one of the human quality. You don't have to control anything. And role model also, you don't need to see. You are your own role model. Find out your true essence. Find out your true essence. It is not different for anyone. It's not different for your role model or for yourself. Understand humanity. Understand the basic human character. What is the basis of my existence? So what is my design? So I've come on this earth to perform. I have to perform, I have to do karma, which is I have to do deeds, I have to do tasks. So if I have to do a task, like any device, any kind of device which is created, or a gadget or equipment or whatever it has got a basis, it's got certain specifications. And if it doesn't operate as per those specifications, it is going to malfunction. So what is my operating characteristic? What is my design? What should I be following? So that is called, we call it in Hindi, dharma. Dharma. And that's like the you can call it human design. I also call it human mirror. But
Human
that's where you have
design.
to look into
Amazing.
human mirror. So human mirror is something where you have to look into mirror, where you're looking into your internal self. You're looking at your internal design, that today am I operating at my optimum values? Am I selfish or selfless? And this kind of self analysis, this path of we call it self inquiry or self analysis, is to do your auto correction. Are you in an auto correction mode? Are you conscious? Are you aware? Is your awareness high enough to see whether you are doing something wrong? Are you even checking yourself? Should you be checking yourself or should you be checking the world? I don't have to worry about what the politicians do. What am I inert to this external world? Am I seeing? Should I be reacting to the external world? Do I have acceptance? If I am living in a certain period of era of the world in civilization, there are certain conditions which are prevailing. Am I inert to that? Should I not be inert to that? Should I not be adopting to certain things? Should I be close to nature? Should I be accepting? Am I accepting what is happening? And how I am connected to the nature? Is the nature going to give me happiness? Has the nature not given everything which a man needs? Am I using it? Am I a producer or am I a parasite consumer? Why I'm not producing? Why have we become consumer? Shouldn't I be producing? Should my karma, my task should not be around something which is close to the nature? Is living in a city gives happiness? Is that the right way of living? Who's more happy, a farmer or a person, working in a finance sector? Who's more stressed out? Is farmer not self-sufficient? Am I self-sufficient? Am I self-reliant? So many questions are there. But these are all aligned to the human tendencies. And if we are not aligned to the core values of humanity, or you can call it the human qualities, whatever you call it, you can call it value system, family value system, social value system, human value system, humanity. If I'm not aligned, what will happen? These negative tendencies, qualities are going to trigger thoughts in my brain. That's the whole problem. If I can live in the present without worrying about future, if I'm desireless, I'm only working for my needs. If I've understood my needs, if I'm desireless, there'll be no thought. Every thought is coming from desire. And every desire is arising out of all the negative qualities.
Oh,
So
yes.
these are the things we have to work on. If buying a diamond will give me happiness or not. But why I'm chasing diamond? Who created diamond? Initially there was no diamond, but whoa, who created diamond? Why they created diamond? Why people create products? Why do they inject products which are not needed? They create needs. They create artificial needs, and we are working like crazy to chase that. You can travel from
Something that
place A to
not makes us happy at all.
yeah. Actually, chasing these things are making us unhappy because we not everybody can chase it, and we are actually feeding these capitalists. And do you think that they are happy with that? They are psychos for control. And later on, they become mental wrecks.
100%. And the problem is that I really want to ask you. You mentioned extremely important point, self-efficiency, and you mentioned the capital world and people chasing something they don't really need. People live in a debt. People suffer because of it a lot. The entire system, the architecture of the system, of the government system, made in a way that you literally in a constant race, and they put you in a certain framework that uh you're supposed to be on a certain point always. You always have to file taxes. You're supposed to buy certain houses. You're supposed to put certain amount of effort. You're supposed to gain specific type of salary. You always live in constant boundaries created for you from early childhood. And since we're living in society, it's very hard to get out, because not that many people will be willing or will be able to get rid of everything and go to the forest, to the mountain, to clean up from all this mess that was created, to clean up yourself from this framework. The question is, for us who live in the society, who live in those sick capital world framework, what recommendations you would give to us who are totally live in the illusion and in the frameworks? Because for us, it's almost not possible to get rid of everything and go completely isolated. So what will be the practical tips for people, for real people who live in a certain circumstances? What, like, how to
So
find the
as I
better
said,
living?
there are many. So I said that's a self-inquiry process.
So it's
Self-inquiry process has a lot of facets. Yeah. So self-inquiry has, like I said, there are almost 40, 45 human qualities which I have written. So when you
mm-hmm,
start looking into every quality of human, am I greedy? Am I selfish? So what
mm-hmm,
is allowing me to get manipulated? How am I becoming a slave of this society?
mm-hmm,
And I don't understand this manipulation. Do even I have the brain, and am I even making an effort, or I am flowing with the flow? So should I be flowing with the flow? Do you think is this very very artificial? Because my whole understanding is based on what people will think. Can I be
mm-hmm.
different? Will I be happy there? So
Yes.
now I'm in a slush, and I've got used to living in a slush. Like if a bird which is in a cage for 10 years, you open the door, the bird will not fly, because now she's used to be a slave. So now you've been conditioned to be a slave, and you don't realize. Like the higher salary you get, you don't realize you pay more tax. Today, I don't pay tax. If I have less income and I realize it is sufficient and I don't have to pay tax, so why should I have more money? When I have more money, I'm paying 33% tax. Then I'm spending a lot of money to go to work for that person. I buy an expensive car, and my 80% of usage of that car is to go to work for that. I don't want to use that word idiot, for that capitalist. So you don't know that the big figure which you have on the paper is probably more than half is going back to them. So what actually are you earning by that big figure? Because they have created a system where they take it back from you. They make you work like a dog, a donkey, and then they take everything back from you. So, and then you spend on clothes, you go on eating dinners. What is the amount of money which you are earning is going towards your basic needs? So where is your time going? So are you efficient, or are you working for something which is not needed? So these kind of questions. And second thing, am I lazy? I feel that by working by in a job, I will get money and then I'll get everything. So I don't know. I'm not very comfortable going and growing or being a farmer. I don't have to go to a mountain. I can go to the outskirts. Where is the cost of living? Should I be living in New York? You think people in New York are happy? Are they more stressed or less stressed than somebody living in maybe some other place like Texas? Like, is a cowboy more happy than a New York and wealth manager? So we have to do that kind of comparison. Like when I used to walk on the street, I observe a lot. You can learn from the animals. How are the animals? They are so connected to the nature. They are so kind of hard coded software. They don't do anything more than what the nature is designed to do them. Human has been given that ability to do things, but has the human actually used that ability to be? We have slowly disconnected to the nature, and these questions, deep questioning is needed, deep introspection is needed. That where am I heading? All this illusion looks so beautiful, but is this the truth? It's a big illusion, mirage I'm chasing. And till that
Mm-hmm.
time you don't deeply understand this, you will not disconnect. And if you don't disconnect, you are going to be unhappy. People have unstable minds, a lot of impatience, a lot of intolerance, impatience, anxiety, then leading to depression. These are all compounding, cascading effects of negative tendencies which take you towards that, and you still are so badly manipulated and brainwashed that you are
Mm-hmm.
just not able to come out of it, because you still feel that everybody is doing this. So your own thinking is still not there. Your thinking is influenced by everything around you. So you
Mm-hmm.
are under control. You are not under your own control. And till the time you are not under your control, your thinking is not clear, you will be under external influence. So all these kind of realizations, am I lazy? It's very very important to understand, you actually, am I really lazy? I don't want to do, I just want to go 9 to 5 job and then earn money and eat, and then I will keep on chasing more and more and more. Should I be impressing somebody with my looks, my wardrobe, or should somebody uh, have the confidence on the face? The person who doesn't own anything is most confident, probably. He has least baggage. All this accumulation, is it a baggage or is it a position? Am I possessive about it? Am I attached about it? Do I think this is going to make a difference to me, or is that the wisdom I carry, is the knowledge which I carry? Am I fearless? What am I afraid of? What all I am afraid of? Am I afraid of something I'm thinking about in the future? Am I worried about the past? Am I always thinking about the past? So I'm afraid of losing something which I have accumulated in the past. Will I go with all this when I die? So many questioning is there. There are 40, 45 points I've written down, and I've made that I call it human mirror in my book. I made a table with all the points listed down and on a scale of 1 is to 10. That's an
Mm-hmm.
exercise I used to give, that you start working on your qualities, mark it, where do you stand? If you are selfish, if you are lazy, identify how much you are lazy. Identify, are you a slave, you're working for somebody else, or are you working for yourself? And what
So
can you do for
everything
yourself
starts. Everything starts
from
from
yourself?
from yourself. So it's basically you have to
Yes.
work on your own person. Yes,
Yeah,
that's.
but we are but we are working on the society. We are working on social definition, though we should be little selfish, we should be greedy, we should
Mhm,
have desires. This is a social definition. Like a lot of narratives created for women, the
mhm.
society has brainwashed women also, because it benefits the capitalist. One of my books, Social Issues, why they want to break up the society. The capitalists want the society to break up. 80% of the 80% of the shops belong to women, women's needs.
Oh
So
my
if they
gosh, and
break,
that's the worst quality. Usually, even in terms of cosmetics, because there's so much varieties. Usually, if you go to the women's section, the quality is
yeah,
to find a good product made for woman is so it's extremely hard nowadays. Most of them is just made it's a money making machines. Anyhow, let me
yeah,
tell you something. I really have a question for you because from human science, from human brain perspective, there is a thing. We in terms of illusion, we don't know who we are like at all. The way we're getting information about our persona from the environment, meaning that we have zero, we are empty, we absolutely nothing. We only get from the environment. So basically how people react on us, what they tell us, how communication goes, their facial reaction, facial expression, the words they use towards us, what's been said about us. That's exactly, like, from neuroscience perspective, exactly makes like our persona, because we're developing our persona from childhood via absorbing behavior of people around us. So that's why we have like very common characters with sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers. It's one thing. But another thing is we don't know who we are. So we can get really in. Here is it. So what are, my question is, we can get in a trap if we will be isolated from the feedback. There's a huge, there's you can get into trap of own thoughts, own understanding, own illusion regarding yourself, regarding environment, simply because we social, we need to get feedback. And most of us, we believe in ourselves, and we know about selves exactly in the way what we kind of information we get. What's your perspective on how to avoid the trap of being literally trapped in your own thoughts, in your own perception of own self?
So I would say this kind of exposure is also needed. Like you go to a class, some class, and you are solving a problem in mathematics or
Mm-hmm.
physics. Because if you have the ability to solve that problem, you will be able to solve the next problem. So your brain is developing. Your brain is becoming more logical, analytical, rational, and logical, understanding the whole science, which is based, the whole existence is based on science, which is physics, biology, maths. So when and
Mm-hmm.
we go to the school, we don't consider that as a problem because we think it is physics. But in human existence also, these are all problems which we need to solve. And when we need to solve, either we keep accepting it and going and then failing, because when you blindly believe, if you go by people and learn from that, that's called conditioning, because our environment is conditioning us. We each human is exposed to a unique environment, and that's the conditioning, and that's, we learn from what we see as we are growing up. And the day we start questioning it, that's where the analytical thinking starts. That's where the logical thinking starts. We start questioning behavior, and then we try to figure out what should be the ideal behavior. And in order to find out the ideal behavior, we again start questioning what should be the ideal behavior. And then we find out that these are the certain qualities which we have. And then we start understanding that, okay, this should be ideal, but this person is not ideal. Now, the next thing is, another important thing is, then one fine day we learn that I should not be reacting to the external world, because everyone, karma come, when it comes to karma, then everybody is going to be redeemed for their karma. So we understand there is a destiny. We also finally understand that I am responsible for my own deeds. So if somebody is behaving in a certain way, let them behave, because it is their conditioning, it is their path. All this has to be introspected and understood about the external world, and slowly you cut off from the external world. Focus on your task. Should I be focusing on my task, or should I be wondering about others? In my own family, my own spouse, my own partner, my child, my parents, my uncles can be doing things differently. But should I focus on that, or should I focus on my tasks? Because I think I can only manage my task the way I should manage. I should be sincere about my own doings, because it is my destiny I am creating. I am not creating somebody else's destiny, nor somebody else is creating my destiny. So should I be inert? Why should I react to somebody? Can I stop reacting? Why I'm reacting? Because I'm attached. So these are all, it's a jigsaw puzzle which connects all the human qualities. Because I'm attached to that person and I have expectations from that person. Why I'm attached? Because I'm expectations from certain people. Because I feel this is my family, so I'm attached to my family. But you are just born. If suppose you were born and nobody told you I am your mother, I am your father, then you will not know. And if I am born and that somebody tells me some other lady is my mother, I will believe that only, How will I come to know who's my mother? So what we've been told, we accept that, but we don't realize the real basis of the reality of existence. We don't belong to anyone actually. It is nature which is creating us and then leaves us for being still with the nature only. But we have created a system where the community should coexist. Even animals flock together. So same way, community was defined for more harmonious existence of the human being, and then this human qualities, all actions was contributory, collaborative, like giving, doing. We are actually givers, and we were all givers, and mutually we exist. We have different characteristics. Man has a different characteristic inherently. Women have certain different characteristics, and together they do certain tasks which they are good in. We understand each other's capability. We understand what the man is more capable of, and what is the differences between man and a woman. And based on that, a system was evolved. And we were supposed to follow the system. Even if you go back to Russia, you go to the villages, people are still following. Orthodox Church religions are guidelines. Religions are made to give guidelines so that people keep track. They don't forget the dharma. They don't forget the human qualities, the basis of existence. So these religions have beautifully created that for a particular area. Why there are different religions? Because different religions evolved based because of the geographical conditions, environmental conditions, to meet those, a certain way of eating, certain way of growing things. Today we eat something from New Zealand, today we eat something from America, we eat cherries from. No, we don't eat seasonal, we eat round the years everything. We don't understand we should be eating seasonal. So a lot of things are all written down by wise people earlier. We have broken that. We have broken that system. We have come to a very brainwashed, manipulative, capitalist system, greedy system. We become slaves of that. A lot has to be understood. A lot of discussions are required. These kind of discussions are required. How much time we are spending on discussing this? We talk, we go to a bar, we have a drink, we think going to a bar, having a drink, then life is nothing more than going for a drink. But is life that? Should a drink be giving more happiness? Or should I have a nice conversation about life, trying to understand life? Because ultimately, it is understanding the reality of life is going to give me happiness. And now, am I chasing happiness, or I'm chasing something which the world is making me chase? So what am I
That's
chasing is,
that's the core. That's the core of the of us, of humankind. You know what? You very, I love idea that you really telling a lot about about questioning things, about critical think, about the thinking. How important is it to understand, to observe, to know better? And my question now is, I know that you wrote a beautiful book about meditation. So we know that meditation already been known for a while regarding the positive outcomes and the benefits. But meditation, from my perspective, it asks it by its own nature. It basically disconnects you from the reality, and this could be, it could have a negative impact, because we know we always have to be grounded, when you have to be conscious, when you will have to be thinking creatures. Tell me your perspective in terms of like what the science of the meditation, what is the best way to approach it, how to think about it, and what the core, what we need to know, what we need to know about meditation, and how, what the best way to approach it.
so what's happened is, because everything gets commercialized, everything becomes business. So people
Oh
even
yeah.
forget the definition of the thing. And then there are various forms created, because it's the whole basis is business. Because meditation is becoming a probably $1 billion industry. And if so many people are meditating, the world would have been very happy, but it's not giving the desired results. Because what I told about self inquiry, to do self inquiry, to do questioning, to see my alignment with my, yeah, probably we can have another 5-10 minutes because I'm now on low battery, or maybe I have to put a charger. So the point is that if we don't do this process of self inquiry and don't make those changes in our behavior or the nature, which is aligned to the should be aligned to the basic humanity, the human values, then whatever you do, like you commit a murder in the morning and think I will go to the mosque or the church or the temple and I'll be absolved, I'll be forgiven. That it doesn't work that way. I have to see, should I be doing a murder, committing a murder? But I'm committing a murder every day. I mean, some sin every day, and I think I will go to God, and I'll get absolved. And this, it doesn't happen. So, thinking that something else will solve my problem, whether I call it meditation. So, because of commercialization, the definition of meditation has been completely hijacked. So people really don't understand what is meditation. Meditation is ultimate aim is to come into a state where you are happy, where you are free from thoughts, unnecessary thoughts. You focus meditation. The meaning of meditation in Hindi, because it's originated from probably India. So the word is called dhyan. Dhyan means focus. Are you focused in what you're doing? Or at that means if you are focused, you are in the present moment. So whatever you're doing, are you focusing on that or your mind is running everywhere else? Am I in that state all the time? Am I in a meditative state all the time? If I'm not doing anything, is my mind quiet? Have I switched it off? Is my mind under my control? Will this 10 minutes or 15 minutes of sitting with eyes closed, what will it do? Will it stop all the thoughts? How will it stop all the thoughts? I'm still selfish. I'm still greedy. I'm still chasing I'm in a wild goose chase. And then how will my mind stop by sitting like this? It may stop for technically, mechanically for 20 minutes because I've been made to get distracted into something so that this distraction distracts me from other distractions. So somebody says focus on breathing. For those 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm focusing on my breathing. And then because I'm working intentionally, so I tend to forget other things. And for that moment, I feel good and I feel that meditation is benefiting me. But you are already trying to shift your focus. But why shouldn't you shift your focus to what you're doing? Normally, why I'm focusing on something, why I'm focusing on buying a BMW? Is it needed? Why I'm focusing on buying a bigger apartment? Why I'm focusing on that my partner should behave like this? Why I'm not focusing on my karmas? Why I'm focusing on my boss being like this? Let him be like this. Where is the source of happiness? Where is my focus? Why can't I go to the? Why can't I live in a small town? Why should I change my country? Why should I go somewhere else? What can I do for the society? Am I doing something for the society? Can I be happy by achieving whatever I want to achieve if my people around me are not happy? If 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 you are in a place where people are unhappy and there is crime, how can you be happy there? So much crime in New York, so much crime in the universities in America, so
Oh
much
my
of
gosh.
yeah,
And
abuse, so much
especially,
abuse
yes,
in the
yes.
universities. What is happening to the young generation? Why are they behaving like this? Why are we driven by lust? Where is the pure love? What is love? How many people this whole idea of love, that you make love, you don't make love. Love is omnipresent all the time. Love uh, is the core essence of our existence. Love is when we are unconditional from all side, we are purified. Purification is the thing. Am I pure? Am I selfless? If I'm selfless, I'll be loving. My love
Yes, this
cannot be
is
pure if I am
safe.
selfish.
Yes, the thing is that you it's so beautiful what you're talking about. So important, so beautiful. In terms of people, because people have so many desires, patient, understanding of how everything's supposed to be, and
Mhm.
there are total understanding, like misunderstanding in terms of what love is and what people are, trying to achieve in terms of like love. Why? Is because people just trying to, it seems like people just trying to reach their goals. It
Yeah,
feels like for the most part they're just trying to get to the point that their dreams come true,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What is like, it's a trap, because you
So
as you
so
mentioned, we need to be happy with our own selves and absolutely
dreams are
selfish.
desire. Dreams are aligned to desires, and those desires are undefined. People don't understand. Should I be going for this? Because it's all defined by the society. So our thinking is being actually so hard conditioned to align to the society's definitions. So we are unable to come out of it. So you need a very strong willpower. Where is my willpower? How do I work to change myself? Do I need to be transformed? Am I happy? And whatever I'm trying to achieve, will that give me happiness? Even that process of trying to achieve, will that give me happiness, or it'll be a struggle? So should I be struggling all my life? And do you think after achieving people have got happiness? That's why I give examples of some of the people who have achieved, but still they finally come back to that. Why did the yogis go to Himalayas? They left everything and they're the most happy people. Nature gives you all the happiness. People have not experienced those happiness which comes from the nature. You go to the riverside, it gives you free happiness. You go to a bar, it doesn't give you happiness. You're all the time looking around. You're trying to find some good guy, good woman to have a conversation, to have a partner who will be we are in a utopian world. We are living in an illusion that there is something perfect. Perfection is in our own self. If we are searching for perfection, we don't even know what is the definition of perfection. When my own mind is unstable and I want somebody else to behave like my mind, so I'm trying to align somebody to my unstable mind because I'm also not constant. So should I not be constant? And if I'm constant, I become thoughtless. So that's a big exercise. But what kind of company I have? With whom do I have a conversation? Can I have a conversation like this every day? Then I will change. But where do I find such person? That's a problem now. People are not there with the real wisdom. So whom do you talk to? The whole world has become like that. It's so toxic. It's a challenge. So how hard you get
Yes,
kicked, then only you learn. When you fail in a
it's
class,
terrible, a lot of toxicity.
then you work hard to pass. When you fail in the class, so when you fail in the class of humanity, human evolution and spirituality, then you realize, I know I have to pass it. But now unfortunately there is a school for that, because the whole schooling is on modern education, which is all aligned to capitalism. Education
True.
has been completely distorted.
Mm-hmm.
So we are living in a fool's paradise created by fools, like
Mm-hmm.
by the fools, for the fools, of the fools.
Mm-hmm.
That's democracy now. By the people, of the people, for the people. But it is for the fools, by the fools, of the fools. So we are living in a fool's paradise. Now, how to come out of it? Do I have right company?
Built on greed, and built on the absolutely six psycho desires. That's the
Yes.
world we live in. And you mentioned really beautiful thing about, if there are so much suffering around, people really suffer around you, you will not going to be happy. Just, the problem is, a lot of people, especially in the United States, I believe, they so self they focus on
Obsessed.
their own desires,
Yeah,
and
self-obsessed.
manipulate, narcissists,
Yeah,
that they manipulate with people, they want to get what they want,
yes,
and that's not.
absolutely.
Yes, it's just a trap. That's a trap for the pain. For people themselves, and for people around them. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely. And thank you so much for providing such a beautiful description of the meditation, because I've heard a lot of beautiful and new things for myself as well. Let's discuss. Tell you something. This subject matter appeared to be very actual and popular around many circles. I've heard a lot of perspectives, especially back in my home country in Russia. I've heard um, things like only with you have like when you only with you have the right values, the right spirituality, you can do um, certain things in the right way. Things will be done. And so basically, science without spirituality doesn't make any sense, or it will work against you. That's the main perspective, what I've heard in some um, back into to Russia circles. In the United States, from my perspective, people are more practical, pragmatic, and because there's so multi um, cultural environment, those things usually not discussed or not perceived as important for multiple reasons, and that's understood. What is your perspective on the importance of this idea of the connection, science and spirituality? What is your perspective on this subject matter? Because that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I would say that uh, during my spiritual journey, and before I say that, I will say like you're telling about Russia, people have this kind of understanding because, in my understanding, Russia is more close to the trueness of the humanity in a large way. What has been made a propaganda against Russia? I've been to Moscow. I've been to Lavra, which is the oldest Orthodox church near Moscow, and I loved it. I love being in Russia. I have a lot of Russian friends.
You mean Sergivskaya Lavra?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
So I've been there in 2016, and I have. I feel there is a lot of thing common between Russia and India, the culture-wise, and
Sure. Mhm.
the values. The Russia and India have very close value system, I would say, which is still preserved there, except in Moscow, I would say to some extent. But yeah, I have great opinion about Russia. And most why US is different is because it's becoming a land where people are going to make money. People are drawn towards America mainly for materialistic goals. So the spirituality has also become commercialized. But in Russia, it's very traditional. Moscow, except Moscow, probably the whole of Russia is very traditional. And same is with India. Like except big cities where the Western media and capitalism, a large part of India is still spiritual and subconsciously spiritual. Now, coming back to science and spirituality, because spirituality has become a business, even in India. So, what's happened is uh, when you embark on that path of exploring spirituality, and when you think that I'm going to meet somebody, so or I'll go to a certain place and I'll find someone over there who's teaching maybe meditation, or somebody's teaching, giving some discourse, some preaching, or maybe in a temple, in a church. But most of them are actually also controlled by greed and fame and power and money, and they're also now close working with the politicians also, because politicians are also trying to take benefit. So even the existence of the spiritual world is not aloof, isolated, but it is being extracted, exploited by even the politicians, because there is a following of people in the spiritual world, and the politicians want to extract benefit from all the directions. So when you start exploring, going to these places, slowly you start finding that this is all fake, and what all has been uh, told, imposed on the society through this medium of the spiritual world is actually for ultimately for their own benefit. It's a big deceptive world. I have made a video on my channel called Spiritual Deception. I experienced this deception during my a decade of trip. I've seen very nice people falling because of power and fame. So I ultimately realized that you don't have to run around, but maybe running around exposes you to the truth. Because by seeing something false and then realizing this is actually fake, you start further questioning that what exactly is the way to find out. And then you realize that you have to find out by going into deep thinking to understand what is the truth, to understand, not go by the belief system, but to see the rationality behind everything. And when you start seeking rationality, that's where the science comes in. And when then you get into a deeper thinking, and then you realize that actually it's all science. And once you start looking at in a rational way, and you start understanding the science, so you then dissociate yourself from this fake spirituality, who has actually used spiritual scriptures for their benefit, to impose beliefs, to control the masses. So these all these godfathers of spiritual world are actually trying to preach, and they themselves are not practicing it. So that's a big disconnect which you see in the life of people. Like in a house, how do you learn to speak lie? When you see somebody whom you idolize, your parents or your teachers, one day you catch them speaking some lie, then you catch them fighting. So then that is not idealistic. So then that myth breaks. That my parents also speak lies. One day you meet a spiritual guru, and then you, after visiting and spending some time, you realize, okay, he's also not truth. He's also not true, but he's preaching truth, but he's not living that truth. So what he's preaching, is this true? Then I start analyzing that, and then I find some science behind it. And once I get into the science, then I try to see the whole world scientifically, and then I start understanding the world. Then I understand that I am actually like a machine. What we are just a creation, part of the whole nature. So what is my existence? What is my design? The day I start thinking scientifically, I stop seeing a person as a physical form. I see a person as something which I am. I don't stop discriminating. I stop differentiating. I stop seeing the out actions of those person. I only focus on my. I said this is another machine which is malfunctioning, and that machine has its own path. So I start focusing on myself. I see things more scientifically. I also start understanding a lot of spiritual concepts, like as simple as telepathy. You can understand the science behind it. You can understand how telepathy works. You can understand how what is soul. You can understand this whole creation is energy. So when you go deeper, then you realize all these spiritual preachers are all making a fool out of you. But this world is more and more scientific, and then things become very easy.
You know, I would like to add something because I myself from academia, I've been
Yeah,
big part of my life, most part of my life in science, and but for the most part, it was a Russian Academy of Science, meaning for some reason, then you really go deep in understanding, and you really, you mentioned very interesting thing. When you do science, when you're trying to understand, you look at human, at yourself as a machine. So there is no differences between you and machines. I never had this experience. The thing is, I believe it very depends on the level. I believe the more you know, the more books you read, the more people you know in the science, the more subject matter you discovered, the more you realize that there it's infinity. The more you know, the more you understand you know nothing, and the more you understand there are so many things since to be discovered, that we as a humankind, we on a such primitive level, science wise.
True.
And the problem here, you mentioned very important, the main problem is people, for some reason, they don't um, they limited, they read, you know, they got the bachelor's degree, or they got like whatever certain amount of years at school, and they think they know the subject matter. I believe that's the main misconception. I believe we ruled most of the people you mentioned, the famous names you mentioned earlier, those people, they learn just one perspective, and they believe they know the God, they know the world, they know everything, they can do whatever because they got certain amount of money in their pockets. The problem is, the more you, when you staying away from the greed and financial part, you realizing that we, there are so many ways to learn things, to understand things, to discover things, and we don't understand, we a lot of reactions, a lot of mechanisms, a lot of the way how things work in our body, we have no idea, absolutely no idea about. And the most beautiful part about it, the most beautiful part of it, the the complication of the system, it's made in a way that the more people kind of trying to get to the point of understanding, the more it creates deeper levels. I mean that as a humankind, I believe we definitely have to get on the new level of the conversation, new level of the understanding what's actually happening from inside out, to see a bigger picture, to see really what's happening. Um, I really hope that all the new tools we're getting, even artificial intelligence, will help us somehow improve the situation in terms of our understanding. The thing is, from my perspective, I never had such an experience. I never perceived human or anything as a machines. And very very interesting point in terms of, and I believe that's the huge difference between like Asia, you know, Asian wisdom countries with who've been accumulating this values, and new world who lives on only on the surface and on the practical sense of the reality, right? What do you think?
Yeah. I'm not sure if I got the question right, but what I can remember, you said that you studied in Russia, and I also worked in the military, in the navy, and I worked on the Russian ships, and I studied the Russian technology, and the concepts which were there in the Russian technology was amazing. The way they were taught, more at conceptual level. And so I think the whole approach to finding anything has to be at a conceptual level rather than just gathering degrees and qualifications, and looking for success from that point of view without really understanding the whole approach to study something, whether it is modern science or whether it's humanity. So I think if that approach is missing from a foundation conceptual level, and not being a philosophical level, then I think the whole we'll fail everywhere. So the system has been designed to feed the capitalist. This education has been modified to feed the industrialists.
Mhm.
So we are in the trap, and it has been systematically and very stealthily, very has been manipulated and changed without really knowing certain things which can make people think the the rulers don't want the masses to think because it doesn't benefit them. So they constantly quietly change the system where people become unaware, ignorant about uh, what what is actually needed by in a community. So because of this kind of a criminalized controlling system syndicate which is ruling the world, which comprises of media, capitalists, politicians, and spiritual leaders, all put together. So this all system is actually controlling for them being living like a king. So that the times of autocracy, the times of kings, only the definitions have changed. It looks different, but it is still there. There's still slavery. There was a very obvious slavery before. Now it's like a digital slavery. We are in a slavery, but which we don't feel we are slaves. So the whole education system has been concocted and modified. I think this is what your question was. I think if I'm not
Yes.
very clear.
My questions. Let me repeat the question. You mentioned very important thing. Seeing human being as a, so the more you when you start any science, you especially related to how human brain works, how human body works, you when you're starting learning science, reading books, all those things, you starting to see humankind as a machine. You mentioned very important thing. So when you're starting to learn from scientific perspective, you think human body, human brain, not like from more enhanced level, but from the very materialistic, grounded, you see them as a machine. Moreover, if you will take a look at the most of the like top scientists, especially in the United States, they describe human brain literally as like combination of the it's like they describe it as a machine. Like seriously, they think the main connection between neurons is just, they even described as a mechanical, from a mechanical perspective, you know what, like in details is from the mechanical perspective. And since my perspective on those things are, when you have broader spectrum, when you approaching subject matter from different perspective, from different subject matter, from different point of view, and you learn different sciences. For example, you know how chemicals work, that any changes in an environment, any changes can create dramatic change in the way how molecule, for example, reacts. Same way that you cannot describe the interaction between the neurons just from the mechanical perspective or just a simple transaction, because there are, in the human body, we have so many ways how it can be changed in a matter of like microseconds, just because of the some simple factors, internal or external. And the more you, the broader your perspective, the more holistic, the more broader your perspective on subject matter, the more you understand that it's infinite world. This science is infinite. So there is no such way that you just, it's not just one book, it's not two books. The more you learn, the more understand there is a more layers, the more understand that there is so many things to discover, so much to learn. And the main question is disconnection. This disconnection between spiritual world, spiritual understanding, and scientific world, especially Western perspective of the world, more programmatic, more materialistic, driven by corporations. It seems a gap. It feels like it's a gap, and it feels like it really make change. It does. How can I say? It's impact us in the worst way. And as we discussed, that everything starts with people, with ourselves, right? With our internal world. What do you think? What will be the best way to look to articulate this gap? Maybe to connect. What is your explanation of the subject matter?
So what is happening is spiritual world is non-scientific because they are purely spiritual. They don't understand the science. Most of them, I would say 99%. Now there are two kind of scientists. One category of scientists are working for corporations. So they are not allowed to be spiritual. So they remain disconnected because they are working to create products for the corporations. Now there's another category of scientists which I'm finding, where even you and me can be like that we become independent workers, and then we'll find the truth. Then we'll understand the science better. Now coming to, so these are the disconnects, I say. So a freelancer like you and me can be scientific and spiritual both. And ultimately, there's nothing spiritual, it's all science. So how do you understand science? By having a holistic thinking, by having a broad thinking. I have explored all this through my own analysis, not by reading books. You have all the capability, every human has all the capability to understand. You can call it spiritual, you can understand the existence, the science behind the existence through a spiritual approach, which is very holistic. The conceptual level, the philosophical level. If I only look at a book which is written about neuron connections and how a neuron is impacted by a certain condition, as you said, it can be influenced by so many conditions. So you will understand those so many conditions only if you look at existence holistically in a very 360-degree manner, because there are too many influences. Do you understand the entire ecosystem? What all is influencing a brain? What is actually influencing a brain? Then you'll come to human values only, and it is conditioning. Analogy is a computer. You you have a program. You have different operating systems. The operating system is basically designed to function. Brain is also has an operating system, and that operating system is different for every human. And that operating system is like a conditioning. You've been programmed to behave in a certain way. The way you saw your environment where you grew up, that conditioned you, it programmed you. I just use the word and you understand the difference. So we are actually not only actually a machine, but the only difference is that we are actually programmed. That's at the brain level. But now comes what you can call spiritual, or actually, this is also science. We are also at a soul level. We don't understand what is soul. We don't understand the function of soul. Brain is programmed. But how can you change that program later? Because you have that intelligence, you have that ability to discriminate, you have the ability to give a feedback and make corrections. So you can be like a AI making auto corrections to something which you learn to discover the flaws. So you create that process by analyzing that I need to find the truth. So I need to analyze it. So I create a process of analyzing everything and then creating a own feedback by my own discriminatory abilities.
We're getting there in terms of like we having much better understanding of how things influence us mentally wise. And I believe spiritual world is very scientific world. I believe that the more we'll be connected, more we'll understand, the deeper we'll go to the understanding of the science, the more we will have a better understanding of the connection between spiritual world and the physical world. Do you agree with what? Do you agree with this perspective? What do you think?
Yes, you're perfect. You are to the point. And the whole idea of writing this book was to really understand, make people have some kind of realization that don't be dumb, be rational, think scientifically. Science is not different. The creation is a science. So if you try to understand everything scientifically, rationally, without believing, like I have made a video on my channel, is it good to believe or is it good to know? So these are the questions. These kind of introspection has to be done. Should I believe somebody who's telling? Should I? If somebody has written a book, why did he write that? How did he find that? What is he trying to say? A book can be interpreted in different ways by different people. But what is the right meaning of that word? Why that person? What was he trying to convey? Have I understood? Should I not find it myself? Or should I just read a book? Will I become knowledgeable, wise by reading a book? Or should I be finding it myself? This, fortunately or unfortunately, the world has been created, humans have been created, that they find everything themselves. We are all on a treasure hunt. We have been all conditioned with impurities. And now it is for us to find out what has been made wrong, what approaches are wrong, what should be the method. Should I understand that it is scientific and why somebody is preaching it purely spiritually? What is his intention? Is he really pure? Should I really follow him? So, what the entire world around me, is it really truthful? Even if it is church, the priest in the church, is he really truthful? Or should I be afraid to question him? Because the conditioning,
Mhm.
the day you question him, and you can question him without revealing the society. Because if you reveal it to the society that I'm questioning the church or that particular priest, then I'll be outcasted. I'll be ostracized from the society. So I'm afraid of that because I need the society. So how do I do that? How do I find a way? So we have to be strategic. very calculative in progressing in your path to find the truth. And you have to really understand that the basis is scientific. And what is science is logic. Science is nothing spatial. It's all based on logic. The whole creation.
Evidences. Hmm.
And so whatever is there in the book, what is the logic behind that? Should I read the book or should I find it myself? Can I find it myself by self-inquiry, by observing around, or should I learn from the book? Which is the better method? Even this should be questioned.
So beautiful. Hmm.
Effort is needed. And when you start questioning, in fact, a lot of modern science concepts help us in understanding even the deeper science. But unfortunately, I have made a video on how the modern science is now treading a path. What kind of approach they are leading? What are these young new age scientists, so called people in these Ivy League universities, which are all hyped about? Everything is hyped in America.
Oh my gosh, yes.
All hyped.
And the thing is, it's such a delusion of the knowledge. And sometimes I recently been speaking with one very smart, very interesting engineer. He developed very interesting program language to speak with the universe. It's a very interesting perspective. And he told me about few names and books I never read, I never heard about. But I realized that he's right. Those books, those scientists, they made the major influence on the way how people think, what people research. And the truth about it, that's absolutely delusion. The way they describe things is so limited.
Yes. Yes.
It's absolutely unbelievable. And the thing is, Ivy League, they have good supporters, they have good budgets, and they can afford to make any idea they believe is good enough to make it popular enough and make it very influential. And I think that could be a trap, because there are so many great, absolutely amazing people through all around the world in a small university, but they don't have access to this opportunity to be heard, to be to create influence. And that's the trap, because the more we hiding, the more we following those groups, those few, those groups of people, the more we getting limited science-wise and spiritual, because it's limitation. When you just follow, making those hypes,
Yeah.
it's a dangerous for us.
So
It
this
creates more limitation. Hmm.
so this hype which has been it's a constant creation. The hype is a constant creation. And the branding that this university, whoever does, whatever this particular university, Stanford and Harvard, is ultimate, which is not truth. Now, most of the scientists have become data analysts. They are all doing a kind of empirical analysis. There is no conceptual work which is happening. That's why people now are finally, ultimately, the truth will get exposed. They've been questioned that what are they giving to the society? What is this modern science? No inventions. Last 1 century, no inventions. All the inventions happened before a century. All those great scientists were philosophers. A lot of great findings have been subdued because it doesn't resonate with the capitalists. So it's a big mafia which is controlling. So idea is okay, fine. Should I pursue a path for my own benefit? Let the world go to hell, but can I influence in my own way? How much can I influence? Because this Western media has a great influence, and good that Russia and China and countries like these have actually isolated themselves from this Western influence. But people who come into, once you learn English, you are influenced by the Western media, and they along with the capitalist control. the entire science, modern science, branding, hype about anything, ratings, Nobel Prize. It's all it's all happening between those countries only, and they don't define the global standards. The world is standing against this Western hype now, and somehow a lot of people initially were attracted. There was a huge glamour about America, and people from all over the world used to go. A lot of Indians, more than half of my batchmates from my engineering college in my batch are in America, and they are all, most of them are, I would say, unhappy with what they've what they've landed up in, but now how can they come back? They are like nowhere. No, they're in the middle now, neither here nor there. So this whole culture
So
driven
true.
by
It's
initially,
you know,
yeah. So
you mentioned very important thing. Like most of us, like most of the immigrants, who
yeah,
they really they half we all halfway there, half they were, because that's so true, so true. I'm sorry.
so the migration happens. The migration happens within the country. People go from small city to Moscow. In India, people go from small cities, villages to Delhi, Mumbai, and the people from Mumbai go to America, Europe. But then they realize that this place lacks spirituality. It lacks the essence of spirituality. It is all commercialized, and everything is commercialized. In America, you talk to someone, they will charge you. You seek advice, people are there to charge you. But it is not within the community. Everything has a price now there. The living is completely based on money, and you don't need that kind of livelihood. There was no insurance 4 decades back. We never knew what is insurance, but today everybody wants to have insurance. So you need to put a large sum of money aside for insurance, for this risk and that risks. There is a limitation now imposed in America on you cannot grow your own organic stuff in your own house. You can't do your own farming. There are a lot of restrictions being imposed so that the capitalist can control everything, even your food, what's coming to your table, how it comes. It has to come through Amazon and Walmart's. The retail market has been completely crushed. They become slaves to these giants, retail giants. So everything is capitalized. You know, everything except the breathing, probably. Everything is capitalized. So we are slave. We are in a way slave. We don't realize that, and we are all chasing that because it looks very glamorous. Because it is all pornified. Actually, America has pornified everything, so it looks very glamorous. We are overwhelmed by our own greed and lust and desires. We don't
Hmm.
understand the truth. The happiness from we feel the happiness is physical from people, but it is not that. We forget the meaning of love. The essence of existing is love. We don't understand how do we define love. I made a video on love. What is love? So
You mentioned
there.
you mentioned a very beautiful perspective on the love. The yes, so absolutely the um the entire idea how people perceive what means love in the Western world is crooked nowadays. Like a lot of people just need certain validation or certain satisfaction or so certain desires. There is the essence of like the absence of selfishness. I believe it's very hard. This concept is really hard to accept for many, and moreover, from my perspective, a lot of West people in the Western world, they think that it's for poor people. They believe that's for losers. You are they perceive that this philosopher of they believe that if they're giving up their self desires for the same self gain, they believe it's it's a definition of being a loser.
Yeah,
That's
the definition of even poor is concocted. The who's rich? Is a man with a lot of money is rich, or a man with wisdom is rich? So what should you be chasing? Whom will you like to be with? A person who's wise or who's having a lot of money? So you know all the answers. When we ask these questions, we'll have the answers. But what I'm doing actually in reality. So what happens? The more we get trapped in this slavery, the more we fall in this system, which looks very attractive from far, much more difficult it becomes to get out of it. So people in America will find it difficult to understand this philosophy of reality because they are so badly trapped and dependent on this system that they feel it's not possible to get out of it. So even if they feel realize, the next problem comes is the next obstacle is that can I actually overcome this? Can I break it now? Break from it? Like I gave you example of a bird who got so used to be in a cage that even when you opened the door, she said, "No, I don't want to run around to find food. I've been fed, so I'll be happy." I know of a case where a man in India or somewhere, oh yeah, in Norway, I think. The prisons are wonderful, You have everything in a prison, you have a fully furnished one bedroom house or something. Everything is there. You have a refrigerator. So you are actually, it's called a prison. So a lot of people are happy being in a prison. You're getting free food and you have everything. So like, you we are conditioned to be a slave and we don't realize it. So how will the happiness come? When we got used to suffering. We are used to stress. We consider healthcare is mandatory. I feel we should not even think about health. Naturally, we should be happy and healthy.
And healthy.
If we are,
Yes, that's yes.
yeah.
Yes, this
But
the
now,
entire the entire health system, it creates health issues on its own. That's absolutely.
health was a social responsibility of the government, but now it is a health industry. It is a social responsibility of the government, but it's a health industry which is built around insurance, pharma, hospitals, doctors. Doctors are more stressed out now. They are salespeople. They are not doctors. They have targets. Hospitals are profitable. They have CEOs. There were no CEOs in the hospitals. It was all managed by doctors. There was hardly any management in the hospitals. Each doctor used to manage his own department. But today there is a CEO, there's a coup, and there's a lot of money. You can't trust a doctor. You go for an operation, he might do more operation, more tests, mandatory test. All this COVID is a big fraud. So the greed is not ending. It's not going to end. Somewhere people will wake up because when you will be hit hard, and you have to realize the truth by being hit hard. Only when you are hit hard, then only the harder you go in this trap, the harder you have to hit to come out of it. So some people will wake up. It's all awakening. This is the awakening that I need to get out of it. And this kind of regular discussions uh, is very much needed to
Yes,
awaken.
yes,
The politicians don't want you to think. They want you in a trap. You are running, running, running. They don't want to give you time so that you start thinking. But they are
yes,
also mental wrecks. Why are we fighting today? One man is fighting, not the country is fighting. One man is fighting. Though I live
absolutely.
for
The thing is the thing is mental health neurological disorders in the United States currently it's just raising in a high speed. Like people really have serious people not happy. If you would take a look at the videos, especially created by younger generation, you on the question, whom would you be? You would be rich. Would you like to be rich or would you like to be happy? In the United States, kids always choose to be rich. There's it's that's up like that's a truth of life. In the United States, money perceived to be the main cause of all they believe that they will get money, they will have health, they will have everything, they will have house, they will, all their problems will be solved. That's their perception. They don't, there is no even understanding that to stay healthy, you do not need, you don't have to have much. And sometimes what you have, when people have too much of the food, is that it creates more health issue than it solves. There are so many illusions, misconception, as you said. It's like people trapped in the prisons, and the amount of suffering, the amount of unhealthy thoughts, unhealthy behaviors, constant shootings in the schools. That's really terrifying. And I believe conversations like this absolutely important. I believe we're doing the right thing, and I believe that your books, they need to be known and they need to be discussed, and have the people have to read them, because that's important. That's important to understand, because science has, people believe in science. When they hear science, they think that, via science we have all the progress in our life. We have devices, we have medications. Science solves problem. And when they hear idea of the science, they believe that will solve, that something is really provides all the answers, all the solutions. And the disconnection of science and spirituality is extremely dangerous. When people losing understanding how those things are connected, how important it is to be spiritually fulfilled when you're approaching any science. That's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. And I believe that's exactly what the Western world is lack of. Well, I believe it's old world lack of. Let me tell you something. Because we live in such a environment, it's easy to travel. What I see is the boundaries we have between countries, they got more and more transparent. Of course, we have like in terms of like governance, in terms of political part, of course there is certain rules and boundaries. But in terms of like people because in terms of the way how people communicate the values, etc., because we have so much interconnection, families, etc. People travel a lot nowadays. And what I see is when I travel and I like go once in a while back to Moscow, and I see that there are a lot of changes, and I see that there is a huge influence of the Western world, huge influence, especially at school, especially at the younger generation, especially when you look at the like Instagram of the younger generation. They all follow, they still perceive that everything created on the web, like in the Western world, is more attractive, which is true, and they follow it, and that's the trap. And more people need to understand the importance of the spirituality, and the importance of the connection, importance of the approaching the world, themselves, thoughts, people around, from the wisdom perspective. Because the important thing is, I believe the Western part of the more obsessed with the novelty, with the youth, with the creativity, they forget very often the history and the wisdom created via ancestors, via older generation. And eastern part of the world, like more all the countries that have in their DNA, they hold this information, this absolutely important for survival, for the human survival information related to the true knowledge and true wisdom. Understanding that often numbers are just numbers and mean absolutely nothing. And there's so much manipulations, and things can be changed and done by multiple ways. And the moment of self, you mentioned very important thing about self-efficiency, that people nowadays so connected to the all sort of sources, they look for everything they need. They try to find an external world from someone, take from someone, get from someone, and they forgot how it is to be happy inside. They forgot how to communicate with own self. They forgot how to what are those questions that needs to be asked. The things we discussed at the early beginning. I believe that that's very much needed, very much needed. Um, so thank you so much for the important and very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I believe it's very um, productive and fruitful.
Yeah, I also found this conversation very, very interesting. Like last year, I gave some 20 podcasts, but they were all one-sided talks where people ask question and I keep talking. But I think this is the first time I had another one, but this was really a deep conversation where it was very, very interactive. Point of view coming from you. I think it's going to be many interesting points to discuss. This topic is never ending. You can have more conversations to go deeper into certain areas if 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 we are trying to provide solution to people. But yeah, definitely nice conversation. We went all over, and yeah, trying to keep the focus on science and spirituality. And yeah, I think it's just it was a kind of a trailer for a lot of people. I would say it's a very, very deep topic. And for inviting.
Are you working currently on something? Are you writing something? What is your focus today?
I'm not writing anything now. I wrote three books in 2022 because I was teaching meditation in Europe. So I thought of writing this because I thought, now I'm not teaching in India, so I can probably write a book which can benefit people. The whole idea was it can benefit. So I wrote those three books. One book was on my travel in the Himalayas, meeting rare yogis and having some interesting discussions. My third book, which was not planned, I wrote about social issues. I said this is also very important. And the book on mind and meditation and the book on social issues is the basis. The basis is all human values. The distortion of human values leads to distortion of mind. It distorts the society. So, being a common trigger point, I thought let me give two different perspective to people because some may be interested in social things. But unfortunately, I realize people are not very keen to read the book on social issues because they don't want to know the truth. So they avoid seeking, looking into that. Now, my fourth book was since last year, I got into the scientific exploration and looking into certain phenomena, trying to understand consciousness and soul. Why? Because people use these words very randomly without really understanding the scientific depth of those words. So I try to unravel some complications I thought are coming out of these terms used very randomly, widely in the worldwide. So I did some analysis and I wrote a book, and I wrote that book in 6 days. My writing is very fast because it's not from, I'm not compiling information from anywhere. It's all my own experiences and analysis. So it's all about writing. How fast can I write? How much endurance do I have to write? So I finished that book in 6 days. My first book was written in 7 days, and I got my first feedback from a astrophysicist, from a scientist in ISRO in India, about my fourth book on science and spirituality. And I couldn't have a better feedback about that book. And the best thing that scientists wrote was that we wish there can be more volumes around it. So that was a very good feedback, because then they feel that I should continue writing on this subject more. But right now I'm not doing any analysis. Right now I was traveling. I was in the mountains for about 45 days. I just came back last week, because I have also my personal problems to be sorted out. And so yeah, you always have certain set of problems, always part of your life. And because life will always throw some worldly challenges, so you have to parallelly work on that, but the way you deal with it is very different. So presently I don't have anything in my mind. In fact, my fourth book which I wrote was also not planned. I finished my lunch and I said, what should I do? So I said, let me write this book. So it happened like that. So right now I have nothing in my mind. I'm not writing. I look after, take care of my house. I kind of clean my house. I cook my food, and nothing much. I enjoy sleeping. I sleep enough. So right now I'm not doing anything. Maybe the world has not, the universe has not decided to use me. So I'm kind of idling here in India, because I do feel the sincere seekers are still not there in India. The Western people world is seeking more. They need more because they have gone to extremes and they now are seeking. India is still moving in that direction, and till the time it doesn't hit the wall nicely strong, they will not wake up. You wake up only when it hits you hard. So I was very happy teaching in Poland when I was living in Poland in 2019-20. I had very nice students. I was very happy teaching in Spain. Very wonderful students I had. I mean, people who used to come to my class. And so I like to give this knowledge, but I don't run around to. I don't do my marketing. I don't want to do marketing.
Are you
If
doing
it has,
consultation, advices, advising consultation? No? Are you working with
I don't
people?
know, because I don't have. No, no, I'm not working here in India. I came back from Poland in 21. After COVID, I came back to India, and uh, I had my own personal things also going on in India. I don't find people, and I'm not. I created a website, but then I don't get into marketing because it's another expense. And due to my current situation, I have some limitations to not spend on marketing. And I feel if I do a lot of work on marketing, then it gets frustrating sometimes. It is, you develop expectation that people are not coming. So I'm happy the way I am. If somebody has to come to me, they will come to me. Otherwise, it's okay. And otherwise, wherever you are, whatever you do, you start building expectation. I have worked hard to earn my livelihood. Now I don't have to work to live. Like I have enough investments. So I'm happy this way, and whatever comes to me, I will take it. It's like that.
It's probably it's you just in this particular moment you just got to this point and enjoying your time and space. I've heard absolutely amazing, beautiful birds singing in your outside of your house. It looks, I mean, it
Yeah.
sounds amazing, and I guess it's a beautiful place, to stay and to live and enjoy your time. Hopefully, you will uh, find out time to write more because you're doing the amazing things. It's very interesting, and I hope to hear you or see you maybe later. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. You gave a lot of you brought a lot of sense and a lot of understanding and clarity and wisdom to multiple subject matters, let's put it this way. So I'm thankful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Yeah, I look forward to having more conversation with you, because I think even if you create a series of conversation around this, it will help the audience, and we have to do our bit in whatever way we can do to make this change in the world and bring a change in our own self. And a very interesting conversation, I would say, one of the most interesting conversation I've had. Deeply touched me also, I would say, and emotionally touched me. Thanks a lot, and spasibo. Okay, bye.